video, I'm going to walk you through on how we can create a Azure SQL database, MySQL database, using the command line interface for Azure. So to do this, what we want to do is we want to go to our front page in our portal, and we want to spin up a Cloud Shell. So go ahead and click this little icon in between the Copilot icon and the bell icon here for your notifications. And a little black terminal window will pop up on your bottom of your screen. It'll say something like requesting a Cloud Shell succeeded, connecting to terminal. So typically I'm going to be doing everything in the bash shell. So I have my terminal set to bash shell. You'll know that your terminal is set to the PowerShell if you go up to the top left here and it'll say switch to bash. That means you are connected currently to the PowerShell command. So the commands I will run are going to be in bash and they won't work for you. To switch to bash, just push the switch to bash button. Here for me it shows switch to PowerShell, but it'll say switch to bash for you. And give it a moment and your screen will look very similar to what you're seeing here. You'll see that there's a $sign and there's max here. So this tells us that your username will be there. And so this tells us that we are now currently in the bash command. You can do a check by going echo space $sign shell like this. And you should see the response saying /bin/bash to ensure that you're in the proper terminal. So to get started, to create a terminal, create a MySQL database inside of Azure using the command line interface here, we want to use the AZ command. So what this does is this is our tool for Azure. So if I type AZ here, give it a moment, it will tell us a bit of a help function here about AZ. And so this tells us all of the information that's available inside of the Azure CLI. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to use Azure, so the AZ CLI space MySQL. So this tells us that we're going to be creating a MySQL server. And a type of server we're going to be focused on is called the flexible-server. So we're going to go flexible-server. So, and what we're going to do is then we're going to hit space and type create. And so this commands here that you see in front of you are what's going to tell the Azure CLI to start creating a database. And to do that needs a couple of pieces of settings and information that we will provide with flags. So a flag here is going to be denoted by a space and then a -- and the name of the flag. For example, this will be a resource-group flag. And so then the value for this flag is going to be separated by a space. And then you provide the name of your resource group. For me, it's Azure AI, like so. And then I hit space again. And now I can provide another flag, which will be the -- name of the database. So I'll do -- name, hit space, and then give it a name. So for me, I'll just call it my demo CLI server. Like this. So then I'll hit space again, and now the other setting that's required is going to be the location. So for me, I'm going to do -- location. I'm going to hit space again, and I'm going to give Canada Central. Like so. And then we can do space -- admin - user. So this is the admin user setting, and this is where I can give my admin. So for me, that's going to be the admin username that we're going to be using. And then I can provide a -- admin - password, which should be self-explanatory. So for my admin user, I should have a password. For me, I'll just call this, I'll have to type a password in, but there's strict guidelines of what this password will be. This won't work because it will require a full-fledged password with a capital letter, a lowercase letter, a number, all sorts of things here. So, but just to give you an example of how that will work, you type in your password there, and then we can provide and that's pretty much all we need at this point to actually create the server. So if I hit enter, will create the server for us. It'll say checking if it exists. It says that if the resource group is all set, and then it can say, do you want to enable access to this client? You can go ahead and click yes here, and it will proceed forward. In this case, it's just going to run the CLI server. It'll take you about 10-20 minutes for this to actually run. But once it's completed, you should see that your server is now able to be displayed in the Azure database for MySQL. In this page right over here, if you go to the servers, you'll see that there should be a list of servers for you to work with. So here's our list of server, my example -server. And so that was not created with the CLI, but when this is completed, you should see your server pop up in this list, and you can connect to it and run your MySQL commands there. So that's a little bit on how we can create the Azure CLI using MySQL.